Hey everybody, I just want to say thank you for all of your prayers and everything for Melly. As you know, we had the bond hearing today.
Today in court, the judge made a major decision regarding YNW Melly's freedom, sparking reactions from several rappers. One reaction read, "Today's the day my boy Melly finally breathes fresh air. 7 years with no conviction is insane. Judge, do the right thing. And from the way things are looking, the judge just might." Another post claimed, "Melly's team already prepared a house for him, complete with a pool and a full music studio. If he's granted bond, he won't have to leave until next year's trial." Meanwhile, well-known attorney Bradford Cohen broke down the details surrounding Melly's potential release.
So Melly had a bond hearing today, and it's still ongoing. I believe it's 2 o'clock. I think it started at 10. It's almost like a mini trial where they're putting on individuals, and they're doing a really nice job with crossing individuals, putting on individuals about confinement and what it does to a person's psyche. He's been in, I don't know, going on 8 years, I believe. I think I was hired on this case originally. I think his bond should have been considered before this. Also, this case really, in my opinion, should have been a speedy trial in the first 6 to 8 months of the case, but that's spilt milk at this point.
One fan commented, "Bro, YNW Melly walked into court with the biggest smile I've ever seen. If he gets denied bond, he's gonna cry, and honestly, so will I." Melly's legal team strongly emphasized how he has been treated during his time behind bars as leverage for his release. Court record stated, a BSO officer admitted that Melly's cell has been searched daily throughout his 7-year detainment. No contraband or unauthorized items have been found since 2019. The officer also confirmed there has never been a single altercation involving Melly. Additionally, Melly has not spoken to any family members in 6 years. After the hearing, Melly's mother spoke out again about his jail conditions, saying she's relieved that people are finally paying attention.
And I know people didn't believe me when I was saying just how horrible they were treating him, but to hear it come out of that BSO officer's mouth, it really brought it home, and it hurt. Like, it really made me cry, because I don't see how you could treat anybody like that. It's innocent to proven guilty, but they are treating him worse than anybody I've ever heard of. The doctor even said he's never heard of someone being kept up underneath such seclusion and such harsh conditions. I just want him to be able to at least come home.
What many people don't realize is that Melly's mother exposed the county jail over a year ago, speaking publicly about the conditions he was facing. At the time, hardly anyone listened.
When you saw Melly's statement, just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life, as a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they need to answer to someone too.
The way YNW Melly has reportedly been treated in jail has raised serious concerns. In court, it was stated, Norman explained that no individual should remain in isolation for more than 15 days, referencing the Nelson Mandela Act passed in 2015. Norman, a psychiatrist, testified about Melly's conditions and admitted that although he has never personally spoken to Melly, he has never seen someone placed in isolation for such an extended period. He stated, "I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone spending 7 years in isolation." He even compared Melly's situation to the movie Castaway starring Tom Hanks. Norman added that being detained during adolescence for 7 years could severely impact brain development, as the frontal cortex does not fully mature until ages 24 or 25. According to him, this prolonged isolation could cause permanent psychological damage, affecting Melly for the rest of his life. He also noted that such treatment may violate the Nelson Mandela Act. However, Charleston White previously reacted differently, saying Melly should not receive special treatment simply because he is a famous artist.
The YNW Melly, man. I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you take a life, homie, you ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing about being mistreated when you done chose to play somebody.
Everything shifted once prosecutors began explaining why Melly should not be granted bond. State Prosecutor Alexander referenced Judge Martin Fine's earlier mention of Melly being seen entering a vehicle. She argued that Melly was seated where the alleged shooter had been sitting. She also brought up cell phone data that allegedly placed him at the scene, stating, "We know Courtland Henry wasn't the shooter the defendant was," while pointing directly at Melly in the courtroom. Prosecutors then presented footage showing Melly entering the back left seat of the vehicle.
Excuse me, you're able to see? Yes? All right.
With that evidence presented in court, the judge's decision appeared evenly balanced. However, Melly's attorneys believe they have a critical advantage tied to Courtland Henry's actions the night of the incident. This argument could potentially help Melly secure release before trial. Court documents state, on October 26th, Courtland Henry arrived at Memorial Hospital's emergency room, seeking help for 2 passengers in his vehicle, identified as sack chaser and juvie. Henry was questioned by Detective Moretti and gave his version of events, even returning to the alleged scene to answer further questions. During his interrogation, inconsistencies in his story became clear. He was lying to investigators, and they recognized it.
Can you state your name, your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the victims in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Janelle.
Reports continue, stating, when Henry entered the emergency room, he told officers that his vehicle and friends had just been shot at. An officer immediately called for additional law enforcement while gathering more information. Henry claimed they had just left the studio and were stopped at a traffic light when another vehicle pulled up and began firing shots. He said he ducked and accelerated forward. However, he repeated this version during interrogation despite evidence suggesting it was false.
Here's the hard part where we're having a hard time to understand is that we shut down that entire area and we had officers shoulder to shoulder walk it out. They didn't find as much as one shell casing. They didn't find one piece of glass. Nothing. Nothing to what you said adds up. And it's hard.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro, that's the glass.
I mean, for whatever reason, your 2 friends, are these your good friends?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These my like,
these your 2, I'm assuming close friends.
Yeah, we got.
And you're doing them an in-service by not telling us the truth.
I'm telling you the truth, sir. I don't like. How? What do you want?
How do you make shell casings disappear?
I don't know. How can I tell you about a shell case?
Investigators press further, asking detailed questions about Henry's actions in that moment, how exactly he was driving, whether he struck anything, and whether he saw who was operating the other vehicle.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Man, I was playing music, getting off the exit. I was already getting sleepy, almost home. You know what I'm saying? And like just out of nowhere, like I just heard, you know what I'm saying? So, and I ducked down, you know what I'm saying, in the car.
Hey, well, Ashley,
and I almost crashed the car.
Let me back you up a few minutes. Where were you coming from?
I was coming from the studio, from Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale studio. Which way did you take?
I took I-75, 595 to
75.
Expressway. Yeah.
Then you took 75 south?
But this was not the only suspicious behavior connected to Henry in this case. Authorities also discovered something unusual inside his home.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me You telling me about some shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
But if you tell me it happened there's got to be some evidence there. There's going to be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here from when you guys opened the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's going to be broken glass over there when the windows got out. There's going to be casings from the people at your car. Okay, there's going to be evidence over there. Okay, right now, there's nothing. I kind of think I know what happened because I got information.
Court filings revealed images of handwritten notes were discovered during a search of Courtland Henry's residence and submitted to the Broward clerk's office. The notes allegedly included a diagram of where certain jurors were seated, along with physical descriptions of them. During Melly's original trial, Henry appeared in court for 1 day to address his own legal matters. While leaving, he reportedly memorized the jurors' seating positions and appearances. Later at home, he sketched everything onto paper. Prosecutors argue this could suggest an attempt to intimidate or target jurors if they found his associate guilty.
Melly's co-defendant YNW Courtland was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Courtland Henry, aka Courtland, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Dimmons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Courtland allegedly tampered with the witness.
Melly's legal team plans to highlight Henry's conduct throughout the case, while also reminding the court that no firearm was ever recovered, which aligns with the claim that the incident involved a drive-by shooting where the opposing vehicle fled with the weapon.
Keep it real, this is sloppy. Courtland, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on. It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They be like, oh, okay, thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib.
Because of this, Melly's attorneys are pushing to exclude anything involving Courtland Henry from the trial, arguing that his prior statements were false before he accepted a plea deal. They argue, how can we defend Melly against both the alleged truth and Henry's lies at the same time? Legal documents state, the defense argues that admitting Henry's statements violates Melly's Sixth Amendment right to confront witnesses. They also claim that accusing Henry of lying or being guilty does not prove Melly's involvement and could unfairly influence a jury. On October 18th, Henry allegedly told police the shooting was a drive-by after leaving the studio, but investigators found no evidence supporting his account. Henry was initially charged with murder, but later pleaded no contest to accessory charges, resulting in the murder charge being dropped. However, details within his plea agreement could still significantly impact Melly's case.
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what firearm was used.
Okay. As previously anticipated, Henry accepted a plea deal and agreed to provide a proffer, meaning he would speak with authorities. He was sentenced to 10 years for accessory after the fact, plus 6 years of probation, minus any time already served. Reports confirm that a deposition has already been requested in a related civil case, although many believe Henry does not have to directly testify against Melly, which is partially true. The key detail lies elsewhere. The judge stated that for both charges Henry pleaded no contest to, he must provide a factual basis for the plea to be accepted. That means he must explain factually how he committed accessory to the crime, which inherently confirms that the crime occurred, the very crime Melly is accused of.
This is a gunner plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell on him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. And that's why it's a gunner plea. Why do I say he signed a gunner plea? Because YNW Melly, and I watched the case, we covered it. YNW Melly's case is that, number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually they are proved, but prove that this is a homicide with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the fact plea confirms that Courtland, that's kind of like almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in. Oh my God, my nose hurt. What that proved is that Courtland worked with someone after he acknowledged that a took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said? When pleading to an accessory to after the fact, you have to acknowledge that the happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know that? And then secondly, how do we know who did it? Because they said it was a drive.
To simplify, Henry is required to describe from his own perspective as the driver seated in the front how the incident unfolded. While he does not have to mention Melly by name, he must explain how the crime occurred and confirm that Sack Chaser and Juvie died from an incident inside the vehicle. Once that is established, it can heavily influence the case against Melly. This raises a critical question. Why did Henry accept the plea deal? Adding another twist, federal authorities also arrested Melly's ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, who reportedly knows key details about what happened to Sack Chaser and Juvie.